I've wanted to make this video for quite some time and bring forth Jay Weidner's perspective on the 9/11 events. Jay has been known to be an authority on Hermetic and alchemical traditions. He is a renowned filmmaker, author, and scholar. He's considered to be the modern-day Indiana Jones for his ongoing worldwide quest to find clues to mankind's spiritual destiny via ancient societies and artifacts. His body of work offers great insight into the circumstances that have led to the current global crisis. To present Jay's theory, I have recorded a short clip from his interview on Shattering the Matrix radio with Kopel and Serena, and it was actually recorded back in 2013.
I will timeline. I will go out of my way here to tell you. I actually have some little bit of proof on this that the Twin Towers were built to be brought down, and that there are people that knew when they were being constructed this. And you'll say, okay, so how do you know this? Well, it's a very strange and odd thing. But there was a show in the 60s on television called Get Smart.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was produced by Mel Brooks. He wrote it and produced it. Very funny. Right? There was an episode, and I think it's called The Walls of Jericho Coming Down. I may not have that right, though. This will be in Kubrick's Odyssey 3, so this is kind of you guys, sneak preview. In this Maxwell Smart show, which was written by Mel Brooks, the chief calls Maxwell Smart into his office, and he says, Max, we have this company, this construction company, and every time they build a building, it falls down, it crumbles, it blows up. Every time that this company builds a building, a few years later, the building blows up. And they're building a new building in New York, and this is 1967 now, right when the Port Authority decided to build the World Trade Center. And he said, I want you to infiltrate this company as a construction worker and find out what they're doing.
Why should I talk? Do you disagree with everything I say? Max, 3 other buildings put up by the Jericho Company have mysteriously blown up after completion. Now, those buildings house agencies working on our space program. We've got to find out how chaos is blowing up those buildings and stop them. Has he discovered anything that could give us a clue? Well, I don't know, Chief. I haven't heard from him yet. He's up on top of the building now inspecting it.
So Max, gets on his hard hat. He goes down to the construction site. We find out that this building that's being built, which is called the Odyssey, is going to house...
Oh, funny. Okay.
You can watch this on YouTube, by the way. It's going to house NASA.
Wow.
1967. It's going to house NASA, and it's called the Odyssey. And so Max infiltrates the thing as a construction worker, eventually finds out that they're putting the explosives into the building while they're building it.
Did you find out how they did it? Yes, Chief, I did. You see, they took the nitro and they put it inside the hollowed bricks, and then they cemented it into the building. Very clever.
Wow, there you go. Wow.
A little bit better now. In 1967, right about the time that this episode came out, Stanley Kubrick decided to change the name of his movie from Voyage to the Stars to 2001, A Space Odyssey.
2001.
Holy cow. Oh, my Lord.
2001 Space Odyssey.
Oh, my
Space
God.
Odyssey, NASA, 2001. Time change. Oh my God. Okay.
Gets better. Mel Brooks.
No, it can't get better.
Oh, get better.
Lived in the same apartment building in the Village with Stanley in the early 50s, and they knew each other.
Mel Brooks and Stanley Kubrick knew each other?
Very closely. It gets better. Hang on.
Oh boy.
The Stanley Kubrick got a lot of his funding, his early funding, from the New York mob. Okay? This is not unusual, by the way, for filmmakers to get money from the mob because it's a great way to launder money. All right? So you spend $1 million on a film, you get 10 million legitimate dollars back, right?
Right.
Million illegitimate dollars, and then you get $10 million back that's legitimate, which gives you 9 million legitimate dollars, right?
Right.
So it's well known that the New York mob was financing low-budget films for people. And two of the filmmakers that they were funding were two young filmmakers from the Village, Mel Brooks and Stanley Kubrick. And so they had links. Now we know that the New York mob ran the Port Authority, which approved the funding of the World Trade Center. So we have the New York mob, we have the World Trade Center, we have the Port Authority, and we have two young filmmakers who were financed at the beginning of their careers by all the same forces. And both of those people in 1967 and in 1968 put out films or TV shows which are closely related to 9/11.
2001. What was the point in naming it 2001? Do you know?
Yeah, because he knew about it. He knew, I will postulate that he knew something was going to happen in 2001. He'd heard that something huge was going to happen. One of the buildings in the World Trade Center, there's 7, or I think maybe 8 buildings in the complex.
Yeah.
Building number 4. Building number 4 was exactly the shape of the monolith in 2001.
Oh, my Lord.
Yep. And I believe that they built the World Trade Center to bring it down in a world-changing event that they
did
years before. The idea that you would build a building, 35 years earlier to bring it down 35 years later.
The big deal is actually something far more esoteric, okay? And I think you have a clue about that. Can you talk about that a little bit? Why do you think it was brought up, built to go down, especially with the minds behind it that you're mentioning?
Well, what I think is that the buildings represent the 2 of the top 3 symbols in Freemasonry, the towers of Jachin and Boaz. And if you go into any Freemasonic temple, which I have been in, you'll find there's 3 things in the temple. There's 2 towers or pillars representing Jachin and Boaz, and then there's a pentagon, usually on the wall. And these are the top 3 symbols for Freemasonry.
Ancient history is replete with symbolic, freestanding twin structures which often depict a deity at their center, or that simply stand as mysterious markers, like a gateway to some other unknown world beyond. In the book The Golden Dawn, which claims to hold the entire magical teachings of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, whose members included self-proclaimed beast Aleister Crowley, it is claimed that therein lies an explanation of the symbols of the grade of the Neophyte, which clarifies the mystical meaning of the two pillars. As the book continues, a magical ritual of the two pillars is outlined, and it is explained to the beginner that the mysterious and magical motif of the two pillars have many names and many historical origins. One of which, we are told, is from the Egyptian north and south columns of the gate of the Egyptian Hall of Truth, reminding us instantly of the north and south twin structures of the World Trade Center complex. Furthermore, in 33-degree Mason Manly P. Hall's writings, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, more mention is made of the twin Egyptian obelisks, which are interchangeable with all the other twin structures throughout history. Hall asserts that the obelisks before the sanctuaries of Egypt have the same symbolic import as the biblical twin pillars of Boaz and Jachin of Solomon's Temple, monuments to which can be seen depicted with the as above, so below compass and square motif, symbolic of the seal of Solomon, the magical representation of the planet Saturn, which was in Gemini, astrological sign of the twins, on 9/11/2001. In the King James Bible, Boaz and Jachin are described as each being decorated with checker work, and the very same detail is seen surrounding the symbolic pillars in every Freemasonic hall. In the same biblical chapter, Boaz and Jachin are described as being decorated with pomegranates, a feature prominently seen surrounding the Tarot Pack's High Priestess, who sits between the very same pillars. The card can also be seen with the familiar twin numeral or Gemini symbol at its top. Boaz and Jachin magically represent polarity, polarities of dark and light, female, male, birth and death, and the interchangeable north and south, again reminding us instantly of 9/11's twinned structural centerpiece.
And I think that the Port Authority was probably all Freemasons, and they built this as both an homage to their power and also as a way to show other Freemasons that the Freemasons were moving away from just being in the United States and moving out into the world via the World Trade Commission. And so it was sort of like a sacred, profane sacred symbol to this secret society.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We're looking at a live picture from Washington, and there is smoke pouring out of the Pentagon. It would appear that there has been another major explosion, this one in the nation's capital. You are looking at a scene of apparent blast aftermath. There is smoke in the air over the Pentagon.
Now I'm going to bring you to the current date and time, and you're looking at the One World Trade Center. And this has been built, of course, in replacement of the Twin Towers. And just to the right of it, you will see the building that looks like the monolith from 2001: A Space Odyssey. You can look in every picture, and you will see that building right alongside of the One World Trade Center. Here is a photo during the construction of the Twin Towers and the building in question, One Liberty Plaza. They were both constructed in the year of 1973. This next photo is a picture of Ground Zero after the 9/11 attacks, and you can see the wreckage in the middle of where the building stood, and up and to the right it's labeled One Liberty Plaza. As you can see, because the building was so close to the collapse, It was significantly damaged, however, it was proven to be structurally sound. It was, in fact, the first major building to be reopened on 10/26/2001. So what are your thoughts? They took down the old to replace with the new One World Trade Center, aka One World Order.
Our fifth objective, a new world order. We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order. Now we can see a new world coming into view. A world in which there is the very real prospect of a new world order.
Okay, so now you're looking at a picture of the Oculus. It's an artistic landmark located within walking distance of the World Trade Center. They say that it blurs the line between a railway station, shopping center, and a pedestrian tunnel. And get this, it opened to the public on March 3rd, 2016. That's 3/3/2016. Coincidence? When looking at the Oculus from this angle, it jumped out at me, the square and compass symbolism. I don't know how else to look at this. And when viewing this short clip, you can clearly see why it's called an Oculus. I put together some examples of the all-seeing eye. And for Freemasons, they say that the all-seeing eye of God is a reminder that humanity's thoughts and deeds are always observed by God, who is referred to in Masonry as the great architect of the universe. The most fascinating thing I've found about the Oculus is the use of the archaeoastronomy. So it says on 9/11 each year, weather permitting, the skylight of the Oculus will be opened to allow the sun to fill this entire space. It is to symbolize a dove released from a child's hand. The Oculus is situated at an angle in contrast to neighboring buildings and even the entire grid of the city, thereby allowing the light to shine directly overhead and for the sun to move across its axis exactly on September 11 of each year. And just in case you were wondering, archaeoastronomy has been used for many, many centuries by Freemasons and Templars. The last image I'm going to leave you with is a photo of the One World Trade Center. In its reflection is the One Liberty Plaza building. Very interesting. I didn't make this video to come up with any definite conclusions or leave you with my opinion. I simply wanted to offer different theories. It opened my mind to so many different possibilities. We just need to realize that we cannot just accept what they feed us. We need to look into the reasoning behind things and never stop fighting for our freedom and our sovereignty. In closing, I'd like to take a moment to thank all of the survivors and the victims on 9/11. They are the true heroes, and their sacrifice will not go in vain, and we need to make sure of that. Thank you all. God bless.